shaping and creating business venture. So basically, formation of business entity, there's a few type of business entity, which is a type of business entity, a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation, a hybrid form of partnership known as limited liability corporation (LLC). The type of business entity you choose will depend on three primary factors. It's a liability, taxation, and also record keeping. So selecting a business entity, when deciding on the type of business to form, there are several criteria you need to evaluate, which is legal liability, tax implication, cost of formation and ongoing administration, flexibility, and also a future needs. So proprietorship advantage control for the financial, make all important decisions and are generally responsible for all day-to-day activities, trust all the income earned by the business, cost trust on yourself, margin self-finance means all profit and loss under the owner of business founder. Each margin set up by founder and no need to involve other stakeholder or co-partner like other business entities. So proprietorship disadvantages is from the side of financial and liability. It can be hard to take holiday, feel stressful and daunting. For the trust, your capacity to raise capital is limited. You have unlimited liability for debt as there no legal distinction between private and business asset. As for employees, all the responsibility for making day-to-day business decision is yours. For the taxes, retaining high caliber employees can be difficult. Your tax as a single person, the life of the business is limited. For the sole proprietorship disadvantage, it can be hard to take a holiday, and also the capability of trust is limited. For the partnership advantages, uh, from this point of view of financial, it will be lack of formality, have a various idea and skill to run the business. Ownership and control are combined. From the view of responsibility, more partner, more capital, profit shared between the partners. Compared to operating on your own as a sole business, by working in business partnership, you can benefit from companionship and mutual support, access the knowledge, skill, experience, and contact. Better decision making, self-finance means all profit and loss under the owner of business founder. Each margin set up by founder and no need to involve others, stakeholder or co-partner like other businesses entity. For the partnership disadvantages, from the side of financial and liability, the business has no independent legal status, share decision making, and many people aren't comfortable with that situation. Slower, more difficult decision making. From the trust issue, does not have a separate legal, personally unlimited liability, limited access to capital. From the side of profit, loss your autonomy, so they have trust issues between partners. For the taxes, profit must be shared and conflict the risk while have partners feel unfair on the reward received. Profit can be retained in the partnership to be drawn as income in a later year. For the corporation advantages, uh, from the trust, personally, in liability protection, business security, and continuous easier access to capital, tax benefit, business security and perpetuity, taxes at different rates, and each margin set up by founder and no need to be involved other stakeholder. For the advantages, having rigid formality and protocol to follow, lengthy application process, does not have a separate legal personality, time-consuming, expensive to form and operate. For the Sdn Bhd company, private limited company, a private limited company is a separate legal entity from its owner, meaning that it can buy or sell property, enter legal contract, and sue or get sued in court. The owner are liable only to the amount they have contributed to the company, and their personal asset or wealth will be left untouched if something happened to the company. The private limited company is the most common type of entity for foreign investor. Foreigners are permitted to own 100% of the company. However, for some industries, they will need 50% nation ownership. This industry include agriculture, banking, education, oil and gas. To establish a private limited company, you would need a minimum of number and maximum of members. The share is of this type of entity is issued to individual or corporate bodies. Public limited company. A public limited company is similar to a private limited company, but the shares of the public limited company can be offered to the public. Public limited company are usually listed on the stock exchange and is governed by the Securities Commission of Malaysia. Each entity must have a minimum of two shareholders and the number of members is unlimited. The public limited company must hold annual general meeting and make reports on their financial statement. There are two types of limited company in Malaysia, limited by share and limited by guarantee. For the Sdn Bhd, the most distinct features that is separate legal entity, which is it can carry on business, it can enter into contract, it can sue or suit. It is a body corporate separate from its shareholder, which means the shareholder are not liable to its liabilities. Owner who is shareholder could be a different person from the one running the company. Example, director can be 100% owned by foreigners or foreign company. For the Sdn Bhd limited liability is limited to the share of capital injected, easier to obtain bank loan and big contract as it considered and more credit worth business. Easier to have a variety of structure to cater to each individual shareholder. Favorable tax rate at 70% and 24% based on different parameters. With the new Companies Act 2016, even a single person can set up Sdn previously. It required at least two shareholders and two directors. For the disadvantages is higher setup cost, approximately amount 2,500 to 3,000, including government fees, higher maintenance costs as it require annual statutory audit and company secretarial services. For Berhad, advantages is limited liability restricted to ownership of share, easier to raise and obtain funding due to being publicly listed. Disadvantages, higher setup costs, has very strict compliance and regulatory requirements. Characteristic, more than 50 shareholders, unlimited numbers of shareholders, public listed and governed by Securities Commission of Malaysia. Non-profit corporation. Business owner can form a non-profit corporation for religious, charitable, political, educational, literary, scientifically, social, B enrollment purpose. Non-profit corporation is prohibited from distributing profit to members, directors, or officers. However, this does not preclude non-profit corporation from paying wages or reasonable compensation for services rendered. Organization formed to serve some public purpose rather than financial gain, as long as this organization activity for charitable, religious, educational, scientific, or literary purpose, it can be exempt from paying income tax. 1.5 million non-profit organizations in United States. Example, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Can you name one of the non-profit corporations you know internationally or local? Limited liability company owns call members rather than shareholder are not personally liable to debts of the company and its earning are taxed on only once at the personal level. A limited liability partnership companies the characteristic of partnership and the company is a body corporate and separate legal entity from its partner. Limited liability company. Advantage of limited liability partnership, low setup costs, low maintenance fees, is governed by an LP, is perpetual even when the owner dies, paid or relinquished to a manor. Disadvantage, a relative new form of corporate structure, hence not easy to get banked. Merger and acquisition. What do you really understand on this concept in business strategy? Joining of two or more business entities entails a restructuring of their corporate order. The difference between both, a merger occur, an individual organization decide to join their force and give rise to a new business entity. Example, two or more individual businesses consolidate to form a new enterprise, new name, ownership, and management. Motive, objective to expand market, share, gain entry to into market, reduce operating costs, increase revenue, and widen the profit margin. Pursue the acquisition. An acquisition is a situation where a larger, financial stronger organization takes over a small one. At least 51% of the target company stock in order to gain absolute control over it. The acquisition company cease to exist in previous name and operate under the name of acquiring company, but only in some cases does the acquired company get to retain its original name to gain a better competitive advantage by combining resources with another organization. This is a flow chart that you may refer on operating and marketing business venture. Acquire motivation, you must have a raw idea, you must have a valid idea to identify the resources. You also need to negotiate and acquire resources. The startup may success or may fail. The startup process involves the entrepreneur initial motivation to found a new business venture. Emerge as a raw idea that may exist within the nascent entrepreneur consciousness for the period of year prior to a determined commitment to launching the business. The idea must first be validated through the entrepreneur, testing the concept against the hard reality of the marketplace. Business startup support agencies are often focused on the development of a formal business plan as a plan first step is creation of a new enterprise. Most successful enterprise startup does not involve formal plan preparation. The key issues for the consideration by anyone launching a new business venture for the idea are, does the entrepreneur have required capability or experience to launch a business? Why should anyone buy the product or service? What might increase the chance of success? And what give the new venture a competitive edge? Can the entrepreneur run the venture alone or do they need assistance? Is there sufficient capital for sustained growth? Will the venture yield an acceptable return? Is it a really venture entrepreneur wants to run? Does the venture have the future? So you guys may take a look on the slide and also the sim. And I wish you a good luck. See you guys on the next chapter.